we're in for a big treat. It's always a good day when we have somebody who went through something so horrific come and share their story with us. And then, of course, there will be a time for questions at the end. Plus, Yvonne has a book that she wrote, so she will be bringing her book. So if anybody wants to buy her book at the end and get her to, write something for you, that will be available. Do we have a table for that available? We should set one up for her. I just want to share a very quick story. Lori Burns, come up for a second. I just have to share this story. She's on her way, Yvonne. She'll be here any minute. But this is the most amazing story. A few months ago, it's on my calendar, find somebody to come in and speak about the Holocaust to the Hebrew school and to our community, because at least once a year, we like to have something like that go on. We feel like it's very, very important for our children, for ourselves, to hear these amazing stories, especially while we still can hear them directly from the mouth of a survivor. We have to take advantage of this very, very special time that we have and hear the stories. So I always put it on our calendar every year, usually around the springtime. So a few months ago, I called up somebody, told me about a name of a guy who has a great story. He went through the Holocaust. I called him. He said, yes, he'll be thrilled to come share his story here at Chabad. We set the date. He's like, it was all set in stone. And then a few weeks ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, as the time was getting closer, I was like, I should call him to confirm, I start calling him, nobody answers. I call him again, nobody answers. I start leaving messages, I'm calling, I'm getting frantic. I'm like, I hope he's okay. He was so excited to come and share his story. He was going to meet with the rabbi, and we had it all figured out, and I just had no way of reaching him. I still don't know exactly what's going on. I'm still trying to find out. That very same day, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is on the calendar. We have to find somebody. How are we going to find somebody so quickly? Literally, that very same day, I tell the rabbi, what are we going to do? This speaker who was supposed to come share his story about the Holocaust, I can't get through to him, and now it's like 2 weeks away, 2-3 weeks away. Where are we going to find somebody so quick that's going to be available to come and share their story with us? The rabbi opens up his email, and he literally just got the email from Lori Burns. That exact, within literally minutes, he gets an email from Lori Burns saying, Rabbi, I was just at the bank, and there's a nice Jewish lady. There was a woman in front of me. I didn't know she was Jewish. She didn't know I was Jewish, right? And what happened?
I have to tell you, this is the craziest thing, because I didn't know this side of the story until right now, standing next to Bossy. But I am standing in the bank line, and God often, I was telling the girls this on Passover, God often tells me to speak to people. And there was a lady behind me that looked Jewish, so I didn't know what to say to her, so I said, did you have a good Passover? And she said, I did not celebrate Passover. And I said, why not? And she said, because something about, she doesn't want people to know where she's at, that people are Jewish there, and she doesn't want them to, and I was just confused by the conversation. It sounded like she didn't want anyone in her community to know. And I said, well, you're missing out on a really big deal, because Passover with the rabbi down the street was wonderful this year. Maybe you think about joining. And the conversation went on, and I couldn't get her to come here, so I left the bank. And then when I left the bank, God said, you're not done yet, Lori, okay? That was not enough. You need to talk to the lady again. And I'm thinking, oh my God, well, I'm just going to stand here till she comes out of the bank. But what am I going to say to her now? So I thought, okay, well, I've got some of my books in the car. I'll offer her a book. So she came back out of the bank, walked to her car. I followed her to her car. I said, I was thinking maybe I'll give you one of my books. And she said, well, that's funny. I wrote a book too. And I said, you did? And she said, because I was a Holocaust survivor. And she started telling me about her brother and her sister. And then I said, okay, this is the hook God needs. Okay, do you know that the rabbi often has people come to the temple and talk when they have a book to the congregation? And she said, I've always wanted to get more people to read my book. So I said, well, here's the rabbi's number, and I'm going to connect him with you.
This sounds like the way we shared.
Totally.
Yes.
It was amazing. I just could not believe my ears and eyes when Rabbi opened his email to show me this email that Lori had just contacted him saying, I met a woman who's a Holocaust survivor who wants to share her story. So I immediately called her, and she said yes immediately. She was so thrilled to come. She was such a sweet lady. So excited to share her story. She came into Chabad the very next day, brought her book for us to read. So thank you for being a part of this amazing miracle. So now you know the story behind the story. Okay, she'll be here any minute. I'm going to call up Rabbi Marcus to introduce her and share a few words to introduce the whole, this whole special event.
Hello, everybody. And good Yontif. Today is actually a Jewish holiday. The Jewish holiday today is the second Passover. Everybody's familiar with Passover? Well, God gives everyone a second chance. In case you missed the first Passover, you can make it up on the second Passover. Well, the previous Rebbe, previous Chabad leader, he introduced the idea that although this happened so many years ago, and it really has something to do with the temple, really it applies to every single one of us today. And that is that in all matters related to our relationship with God, in all matters of Torah and mitzvot, it's never too late. You can always make it up. And so we have quite a few people here who have experienced that. I know a lot of people say, I was never bar mitzvahed or I was never bat mitzvahed. That's not true. Number one, maybe you didn't celebrate it, but you definitely had your bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah when a boy turns 13 and a girl turns 12. Automatically, you've got that. Then there is to put on the tefillin for the first time for the boys and get an aliyah for the first time. And we've had many people here who actually not only done those things, but also celebrated it, just showing that it truly is never too late. And so in all matters of life, when it comes to the spiritual, it's never too late. It's on this day that we've invited a very special person. I've shared this before, and I think it's important to share it with all of you, that anyone who has gone through the experiences that Yvonne has gone through and all the Holocaust survivors have gone through, we call those people holy people. They're holy. And therefore, when they come into the room, we should rise out of respect for them after what they've been through. And they have a direct ticket to heaven. Absolute direct ticket to heaven because of what they've been through. So whenever you see or meet someone with that kind of experience, please go over to them with deference and with respect and say hello to them and just show them how much you respect them and value who they are and what they've been through. And what we're going to hear in the story from her personally, I read her book because I got an advance copy before this event, so I got to read her story. And she has every survivor has a story to tell. I was once giving a class in Heritage Point, and that's a senior center here. Many of the children, we've been there, right? We did a performance for them. So I give a class there every Thursday. I've been doing that for 20 years. I've been giving this class there for 20 years. And one time I was giving a class about miracles. About how wonderful God is and how miracles happen every day and all the time. And after I was done, there were a couple of people who had a big problem with that. And one of the things that some of the people pointed out was the Holocaust. You know, how can you believe in God? You know, I didn't want to answer the question publicly, but there was this lady who sat all the way in the back. She had a very raspy voice. She had been smoking her whole life. She had just stopped 2 years before. She was in her 90s. And she came over to me and she said, Rabbi, what I have been through, what I saw, it's very, very hard for me to believe. I said, listen, you've been through the Holocaust. I take off my yarmulke to you. You're a holy person. You're good. You're a wonderful person. But, I said to her, in my experience, everyone who I met who survived the Holocaust survived because of a miracle. And she said to me, okay, I'll tell you my miracle story. She was a young girl. She was in a concentration camp. And it was really, the situation there was really, really difficult. And she decided, with her sister, they decided that they were just going to end their life. They just couldn't take it anymore. And so they said, tomorrow morning, we're going to go to the infirmary, we're going to go to the doctor, say that we're sick, and anybody who was sick, they would automatically take care of them. Meaning taking their life. Well, they went to sleep that night, and this woman had a dream. In the dream, her mother, who had passed away before the war, came to her in the dream and said, what are you doing? The war is almost over. Why would you do this? Okay, she woke up in the morning, and she decided she's not going to go. But she didn't want to tell her sister not to go because she had a dream. She wasn't going to tell anything to her sister. So she wakes up in the morning, and her sister wakes up, and she tells us, you know, I decided I'm not going. Oh, please, everyone, please rise for Yvonne. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
We have a seat for you right here.
Thank you.
You may be seated. Welcome, welcome. I'm just finishing a story right here. And so she turned to her sister and she said, I'm not going to go to the infirmary. I decided I'm not going to go. She said, yeah, I'm not going either. I said, well, why aren't you going? Well, you tell me why aren't you going? No, you tell me. No, you tell me. Okay, fine. I'll tell you. I had a dream last night. I had a dream too. That our mother came, yeah, they both had the exact same dream. And sure enough, it was just a few days later that the war was actually over. And both of them survived. So, while we don't understand why these things happen, we have no way of ever trying to even think of understanding why such a thing would happen. It's very important for us to know what happened, and it's also important for us to know that each one who survived in a miraculous way. And so, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce our guest who is here with us, Yvonne Carson Cardoza. Carson Cardoza. So I'm going to give you a microphone. You have to hold it right close to your mouth.
I've been using it a lot lately.
So first of all, thank you so much for coming.
I'm sorry that I'm late.
You're right on time. You're right on time.
11:30 till 12:30, so I had a long time. Is
Perfect.
it working?
Yes.
Yes. Now, Yvonne brought her book here, and each one of you is going to have an opportunity to be able to purchase one. Now, this book was written, when did you write the book?
In November 2003, it came out.
2003? 2013, yeah, that's what I thought. So this book is actually relatively recent that she wrote this book. I must tell you, I read the book. I just went to New York for a community trip, and I read it all the way. I finished the book there on the way back, and I've read a lot of different books about the Holocaust, and I must say there's something unusual about your book, and that is that number one, you write a lot of personal things about you and your family, and number two, that you always point out lessons. Lessons, like the titles, there's lessons that you have, life lessons that you teach, which is very, very unusual, and I really appreciated those things. So I'd like to start by asking you if you could just share with us, because I want people to understand, especially the young people who are here, what life was like when the world was black and white. You see, we just get pictures of the world back from those days in the 1920s and 1930s, and we think that the whole world was black and white. But that's not true. And so we'd like if you could share with us what it was like when you were a child, because I think that the story happened when you were